Tell me what to say.
Hello and welcome to another exciting new episode of Serious Nibbage with S.B.R.E. Brown and
Gourmet Pens!
Gourmet Pens, Gourmet Pens.
It's been a while since we've actually recorded one of these, and it's also been a while since I've heard that song. And I cannot say I miss it all that much.
I did.
Well, today, on Serious Nibbage,
We have the Visconti Pininfarina.
Pininfarina.
It's very hard to pronounce.
It's not. This is the Nanotech version. So this is the new silvery colored one. So
Fancy one. What was your first impression?
First impressions were fascinating. This is a fascinating item. Here's why. Here's the packaging, and I know how we all feel about packaging. Alright, okay. So, there's the box. I'm going to put the box down, not toss it. But inside is this doomahickey, which is pretty solid, pretty heavy, and it's also made of the same material as the pen. Ta-da! Now, the pen is not in there because it's actually sitting in my lap, but otherwise, it would be like that, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So, it's kind of a showpiece, I guess. It's not smooth mechanism, but it's really cool. Now,
Please do not launch the pen.
no, I won't. Like I said, it's not the smoothest mechanism. It's a bit hard to operate. Now, that's cool. So, I think the packaging is really neat. It's definitely in the price range where you would expect interesting packaging.
Yeah, absolutely.
It also comes with a little mosquito filler thingamajigger. Now, packaging aside, I had mixed feelings about this pen because I think it's pretty in terms of the smooth, shiny finish and the interesting design, but I was thinking, okay, this is kind of gimmicky, it's kind of weird, so I wasn't really expecting much. First impressions, I was not blown away, but it was interesting.
Yeah, my first impressions were very likewise. I think it looks interesting, but it is a very expensive pen, and it didn't really strike me as being completely worth what it's sold for. But I think that brings us into what makes it special.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is also maybe gimmicky. The finish is supposed to be treated with carbon nanotubes and silver ions. Basically, it's a material that is heat resistant, corrosion resistant, microbe resistant. It's very light. It is a very light pen. So given its size and thickness, you would expect it to be quite heavy, and it's not. So I think that is part of what makes it special. Also, it is retractable.
Yeah, retractable nib is quite special. It has a mosquito filler.
It has mosquito
which
fillers.
is
So there
quite
are
special.
a few things that make it special aside from the nanotubes, which I'm not entirely certain of composition-wise.
Yes.
But
What was your writing experience like?
writing experience. Now, this is a chromium 18 nib. Some people say that is basically just steel. I'm not going to argue because I have not personally made chromium nibs, and I really don't know all that much about how chromium 18 nibs are made. Now, I have actually tried to find this out to be able to talk about this, but man, was it ever tough to find out information on this nib. So basically, Visconti has these Smart Touch nibs, and this particular one has Flex Touch written on the side. This is a medium. The nib design is interesting. It is tubular. It does have this little like cardiogram lines through it. So I was kind of expecting a very stiff nib like that on the Opera Crystal. But
Which is also a chromium nib, and that is the Smart Touch.
But that one does not say Flex Touch. So what I experienced with this nib was very unlike that with the Opera Crystal. I found this one much nicer. It was smooth, quite juicy, and surprisingly springy. So I actually enjoyed it, and I was kind of upset that I enjoyed it because I was thinking, oh damn, this is a very pricey pen that has to be sent back to Applebaum, who has lent us this pen very generously and has trusted us with it. So it was an interesting experience. So nib-wise, I really actually enjoyed it. I did experience a few hard starts, and to be honest, that doesn't really surprise me with Visconti nibs. Not that that's all that acceptable, but nothing to write home about. And I don't think it was to the point where I needed nib meistering or anything. But and in terms of the pen in hand, it's a big pen. The section is quite large. It is quite beefy, but it is light in my hand, and it's quite well balanced. It was strangely comfortable. I understand that for a lot of people this is really uncomfortable and unwieldy. For me, the Lamy Dialogue 3 just does not work. The Vanishing Point was more comfortable than the Dialogue 3, but I just tuck in really well under this opening of this nib here, and it's interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
My writing experience was nice. I definitely think you notice a difference, as Cesar pointed out, between the Smart Touch and these Flex Touch nibs. It's a bread toaster, because I have used Smart Touch nibs, and those I've used a stub as well as a whatever, one of fine medium broad. I forgot. I quickly used someone else's, and
it was a fine.
Fine, yeah. Both of these were very hard, very unyielding nibs, and this is definitely an interesting nib. Is it a full flex nib? Definitely not, but it's much softer than the regular Smart Touch nibs were.
Feels more like they're palladium nibs.
Yeah, it does feel more like that. I think it's. I do find it a little uncomfortable to hold, but it does kind of work. I wouldn't use this for very long writing sessions, but I think such a gimmicky item is, made more for a quick signature or something. In that regard, I think it's fine. Now, is there anything you love about it, or really don't love about it?
What do I love about it? Well, I think the packaging is a lot of fun, and usually packaging doesn't really get to me. It's fun. I'm not saying I would buy it based on the packaging, but I think the design of it is interesting. The barrel is magnetic, so it just pops apart, but it is a pretty solid magnet.
Yeah, definitely.
I like the smoothness of the finish. I have to admit, it's really well made. It's quite seamless. There's no rough edges, and there are little bolts in it that are really tastefully put in there. But there's nothing I really love about it, aside from the juiciness of the nib. But you can get a nib like this on a different, more affordable pen. Yeah.
That's what you love and hate?
What do I hate, love? Okay, first of all, it's a converter pen, and that's okay, but you can't remove the nib unit, so it's a little tricky to clean, and when you retract the nib, sometimes ink gets smeared on the top of the housing unit, and then it can dry in there, or it could smear ink onto your nib every time you extend it, and then there's like ink all over the top of your nib. I mean, it's really minor stuff, and I mean, of course, it's not entirely wieldy, and it's insanely expensive. So, yeah, I think that summarizes it.
I love that it has multiple very neatly designed features. You have this twisting nib, which is kind of cool because you don't need a lot of twists. You can do this.
You don't.
Okay.
I need 2 full twists to get it open.
I can do it in one motion. There's a spring-loaded standard Visconti clip. There is that nice springiness of the nib. There is a lot of cool factor to it. There is a magnetic barrel which just snaps back in place. There is a converter which you don't just fill from the bottle, you actually fill it with the little mosquito adapter. So I think that the pen has a lot going for it in giving it a wow factor. Like, this is really cool.
It's a cool toy.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, it comes with a €1,900 price tag.
Please don't spend that.
So here is a very, very expensive gadget. And that will
It's
definitely...
a high-end toy.
Yeah.
Someone online described it, and you know, I'm not going to say the name just in case he doesn't want to be identified, but he described it as a high-end novelty, like high-end
Yeah.
toy, and yeah.
I think that's a good way to put it.
And that doesn't mean if this appeals to you, you shouldn't get it.
No, of course not. But this will definitely appeal to a certain type of person that loves.
I mean, if you love
fascinating
cars, for
design
example,
stuff. But yeah.
maybe that's great.
Now the question is, would you buy it?
I would not buy it. It's just too much. And
But imagine this would be 150 euros. Would you buy it?
well, that's stupid. It's not 150 euros.
No, what if it was? Just out of...
Yeah, but you can't do that. It doesn't make any
Alright.
sense.
I would.
Ugh.
But I wouldn't buy it at 1900 euros.
Okay, fine. But be realistic. It would never be 150. So maybe if it was 700 or 800 euros, I still wouldn't buy it. It's still too much for me. But it's just... There's just not enough of it.
I
Enough
think
good
this is
for me.
a very niche pen. This is really a specialized object that some people would really enjoy. If you like design, if you like sort of high-tech looking things, if you like modern design, if you like that kind of stuff.
If you like Pininfarina.
Yeah, then it's definitely a very cool, nifty
If you just are a
article.
collector of Visconti. You know,
Now, of
whatever.
course, the big question is it or is it not
It's okay. It's fine.
serious Nibbage?
Ta-da! I'm gonna put it about half.
We would put it about there.
Yeah, I put it about halfway because I think a lot of
It has a lot of nifty design
a lot of
features,
creativity went into it, but I
but
think
the price is
the price
enormous.
is outrageous. I think this is again high end toy. So I mean I understand that it's supposed to be a pen, but
It is a limited.
I'm a
edition pen.
user pen.
Yeah.
A pen user. User pen. What? I'm a pen user, so I feel like I should be able to use it. And of course you can use it, but it's not the most practical, useful pen.
Yeah,
For me, for my purposes. So I would say halfway. I think it's pretty. I like how it feels when I touch it, but I don't necessarily love how it feels when I hold it and use it. So
agree. Now, final question. What else could you pick? Well, at this high price, I mean, clearly, if you want a retractable nib pen, that's the vanishing point of the
yeah, but then you can
Diamond
get
3.
like 10 vanishing points.
Yes, exactly. So if
So-
you want something for the price, I mean, in Lamy 2000, maybe 2000M has a nice design. It's not a retractable nib, but it also has a sleek industrial design look. If you want something in this price range, well, look at expensive limited editions, as this is too, by the way. But that you know, there is so many options there.
Yeah, I mean, Visconti makes a lot of limited editions. I mean, Olmas has a few limited editions. They just released their 90th anniversary stuff. Those
There
are
are
really
options.
pretty. But I mean, you're even looking at like Danny Trio's, Namiki's, custom Nakayas. I mean, this price range, you could pretty much look at anything. And so,
You can buy 2000.
what else
big
could you
pens.
pick? You could pick a lot, basically. And I think, in my case, I would rather pick the other stuff.
Well, there you have it. We extend a very warm thanks to Joost Appelboom from Appelboom Pennen for lending us this pen. This pen will fly back to you right now because we've had it for a long time.
Sorry.
We hope this was useful.
And if you want more details or pictures, you can always check out our reviews.
Yeah! And
Alright.
until then,
We'll see you later.
probably.
Yeah.
Bye!
Bye!
Were you hungry too?